Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah, Koholoimla Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Racha HaKudash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan Nawaf just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And this is a true crime update. I think I done that lesson on this yesterday with this couple right here, and come to find out, we already knew anyway, you know. Me speaking as a man, but this guy right here, the stepfather, is the one that got the little 11-year-old girl pregnant, and everybody was kind of saying it in the comment board anyway. So I guess they done the DNA. Says man charged with getting an 11-year-old stepdaughter pregnant, and you have to be careful who you allow around your children, man. You know, but these Edomites, man, this Edomite shit, and they only gave him a $100,000 bond. So that even further lets you know that this is some Edomite shit. But it says an Oklahoma man was charged after his 11-year-old stepdaughter gave birth to their child. So really, in reality, he was hitting her when she was like 10. You know, Dustin Walker, 34, was charged with child sexual abuse, while his wife, Cheryl Walker, 33, was charged with enabling child sexual abuse, and both were charged with felony child neglect according to court documents. Because you can't say that the mama didn't know. You trying to tell me this girl, she came to full term, she gave a birth to a full-blown baby, and you didn't see that her stomach was getting big? Come on, bro. It says the parents, who faced life in prison, claimed they were unaware that the girl, who was the eldest of their 6 shared children, was pregnant, as she hadn't visited a doctor in more than a year. However, a DNA test confirmed 99.95% certainty that Dustin is the father. So he was smashing that little girl when she was like 10 years old, and they don't tell him how long he was messing with her. He could have been, you know, really messing with her. You know, he could have been, man, ain't no telling how long he was dealing with that little girl. He could have been dealing with that little girl, man, from 7, 8, 9, whatever. And just so happened, you know, she got to that point of, now she's able to, you know, give birth, man, or, you know, went on that flower and he ain't pull out or something. But anyway, you know, but this is Esau, man. This is some Edomite shit. But don't get me wrong, too, though. You know, hey, Jake, you know, this shit happens in all ethnicities. Don't get me wrong. But Esau, he's notorious for this kind of stuff, though, man. It says the alleged abuse took place on or between January 1st and August 16th. So yeah, she was definitely, you know, but like I said, ain't no telling how long he was really fondling this girl or doing whatever he was doing to her. This is one of the most, if not the most serious child sexual abuse and neglect cases I've ever prosecuted, said Muskogee County Assistant District Attorney Janet Hudson in a statement obtained on NBC News. Yeah, they just look weird as hell. The couple also faces 5 counts of child neglect in relation to their other children, ages 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, in which the kids were reported to be living in deplorable conditions between January 1st and August 16th. The children have since been removed from the couple's home. The victims were found to be living in dog feces and had no clothing on. The couple's bond was set at $100,000. And that's right there in itself showed you that this is some Edomite shit. Because Esau is not in trouble as other men. $100,000 for that, bro? Come on. Let me get that in Psalm 73. Let me start at verse 3. It says, "For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men." $100,000. You think they would have gave a Jake, had this been a so-called black man, or say this was a black family, so to speak? You think they would have got $100,000? Man, they wouldn't have got no damn bond. $100,000 for something like this? But this is Esau Edom's kingdom, man. This is his kingdom. And you know, all the people in the comments, they pretty much, you know, because when the story came out, and I done that lesson on the story, everybody in that comment board was like, "Yep, I'm willing to bet you it's the stepfather." And you can clearly see on this clown's face, he just looks the type. Look at this guy. He looks the type. And when I thought about it too, just imagine when we were in slavery and these people were unchecked. Like, they got a little bit of a check. We could check their asses now. They're not able to just run up on us and do the shit that they used. But just think when there was a time where Jake had no voice. He had no one to, to cry out to. And this man was just, he had you as a slave. He dealing with the kid, boys and girls. We already know Esau, he's a nasty freak, man. So just imagine what he was doing with our little girls and our little boys enduring slavery, man, when we had absolutely no way of calling out or just in captivity to these people with no no help, man. And the Lord actually, done that, man. So, hey, he sent us amongst some very cruel people. And this is nothing for Esau, man. Because Esau, this just so happened to be his stepdaughter. So they're not actually related blood-wise. But, Esau do this with his own daughters. Esau, that's why, who's the saying when it comes to incest? Generally, when you hear of incest, it's always these people that pops into your mind because they've always been notorious for doing this kind of stuff, man. Yep, so, didn't surprise me when I seen this. I'm like, okay, so that's the update already. Because, they was instantly testing his ass. You already know. And then I think the mother at one point was talking about she had got pregnant by another little 11-year-old boy, which is, but they kept the little girl out of school for a year or whatever amount of time, you know what I'm saying? And they knew that girl was pregnant, man. That's the crazy part. Like, you had to have known that girl was fucking pregnant, the mother, she had to have known. And just these people, man, we need out of here. We definitely need to get the fuck away from these people, man. Because these are some very wicked ass people, man. Straight up. Look at this dude. Yep. But again, too, what I mentioned in the last lesson was that, because the apostles was going into this past Saturday camp, talking about the grape doctrine and pretty much overall when the young, the women, they were getting married a lot younger, man. They was getting married around this time, in the ancient days, 12, 13 years old. And that also proves too that, they can get birth at that age. And that's generally the age that they were starting to get birth in the ancient days. It's not like how it is now. Women waiting until they're 18 and 21 and all this other shit. Hell, some of these women not having children at all now. If anything, they're well into their 40s, or some shit. But, and then at the same time too, I mentioned that her having that baby at home like that absolutely shows you that you don't need Esau's health care like that. Not to say it to that extent, but you get what I'm saying. Like, she was able to have a full-blown healthy baby without ever going to this man's doctor's appointments, without ever going and having this man reaching all off in her box, you know what I'm saying, and doing all this, that, and the third. She had that healthy baby on her own at the crib, which lets you know that, Esau and his hospital system and his pill system and his syringe system, this motherfucker just want to get money out of every damn thing, man. He done forced the people into coming to see him about, things that used to be, you have a midwife, you know what I'm saying? Or, like in the ancient days, you know what I'm saying? That's even like with Moses. When Moses was born, you hear about the story of him, of course, the Egyptians was, trying to kill off all the babies and stuff like that. But, Moses ended up making it out of it. But they had midwives, man, that would deliver the children right in the home. You didn't have no fucking doctor. You didn't have and actually they done it pretty much on I think the birth they would be standing up, so to speak, like on a stool or something like that. Right? Matter of fact, let me see, because it's not like what it is today, man. But Esau, he done took over, and he matter of fact, he will arrest you. You'll get in trouble with this man if you don't report to him that you've had a child. Like, he has to know. If you don't, that's how you know we're in captivity as well. Let me see. Let's go into the account. Talks about how the Hebrew women were very lively. Yep, here we go right here. It's in Exodus chapter 1. Because the king of Egypt, he wanted, and that lets you know, man, it's still to this very day, they want our young men, you know, especially to be killed. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's why this man sets up these abortion centers like how we do, and mainly in our neighborhoods. Okay, so I'm gonna read it in the NLT, the New Living Translation. It says, "Then Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, gave this order to the Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah. When you help the Hebrew women as they give birth, watch as they deliver," right? "If the baby is a boy, kill him. If it is a girl, let her live." Now, why is it that they were so, and it says, it says Hebrew, "Look upon the two stones." Perhaps the reference is to a birth stool. So they had like a birth stool. But why did they want to kill the young men? Why did he want the young men killed and not the young women? Because they understand that you know, the seed line goes through the father. You know, the male child is the prize, man, because that's how you carry on the lineage, according to Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18. Your pedigree goes through your father, right? But this was, you know, at your house, in the comfort of your home, so to speak, giving birth, up until the point where this man Esau comes into power and comes up with these fucking hospitals and shit. You got to go to the clinic. You got to go and do this. You got to go and do that. You got to come and have check. Then this motherfucker, when the baby is born, he wants to give him all kinds of injections and shit, all kinds of shots. Now, you never needed none of that stuff like that, man, in the ancient days, man. This man got to go. But let me see. It says, "But because the midwives feared Yahweh, they refused to obey the king's orders. They allowed the boys to live too. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives. 'Why have ye done this?' he demanded. 'Why have you allowed the boys to live?' 'The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women,' the midwives replied. 'They are more vigorous and have their babies so quickly that we cannot get there in time.'" See? So actually, they was pulling, supplanting the Egyptians. But that just shows you, all these nations, man, when it comes straight down to it, they don't want our babies to live. They don't, especially not the young boys. That's definitely a no-no. They don't want that at all. And that's been throughout history as far as wars and stuff like that. You would, pretty much kill off the males, kill off the male child, and you take the virgins of the young women of those nations that you conquer. And mainly, they will be around the age that this young lady right here is. Right here, this is 11-year-old. Now, it may sound wild as hell these days in this particular day and time, but there was a time where an 11-year-old like this right here would have been betrothed to probably a guy this guy's age right here. She would have been betrothed to a guy this guy's age, or possibly even older. And by the time she developed, you know what I'm saying? it was going time. She was gonna get pumped up. She's getting pregnant the first shot, unless the Lord just had her barren. But the point is that scripturally, biblically, back in the days, had this not been his stepdaughter, because you're not supposed to do that, because there's a law on that as well. Matter of fact, let me see. Where is it at? I think it's Leviticus. It's either chapter 18. Salaki, bear with me. Okay, bet. I'm just going to get it in verse 9 here. Leviticus 18:9 in the law, New Living Translation. It says, "Do not have sexual relations with your sister or half-sister, whether she is your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, whether she was born into your household or someone else's." Right? So it's not exactly saying don't exactly sleep with of course your stepdaughter, but that was just common sense, to go along with the rest of the laws, because it says, "Do not have sexual relations with your granddaughter, whether she is your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter, for this will violate yourself. Do not have sexual relations with your stepsister, the daughter of any of your father's wives, for she is your sister." See? Do not have sexual relations with your father's sister, for she is your father's close relative. And it goes on, it gives you the laws on, sexual relations and stuff like that, man. And you know what? The reason why the Lord was giving us these particular laws, statutes, and commandments, because this is what the Egyptians, this is what those Hamites was doing. And these Edomites, they follow a lot of the, those Hamite customs, man, here in the Americas. That's why this place is called spiritual Egypt and Sodom. They follow a lot of those customs, because it was nothing for those Hamites, man, to sleep with their daughter, or you know what I'm saying, the sons to sleep with their mother and all this other crazy shit, sleeping with your sister and stuff like that, So, this is going off right here. But now, had he not been, as far as playing the father role in this particular household back in the ancient days, a young lady like this again could have easily been betrothed to him, and he would have eventually got at her, at the same age that he's at right now. 34, he's 34, and she's 11. By the time she turned 12 or 13, she would have been ready to pop, and that would have just been what it was. And he, if he had enough money, shit, to take care of more wives, he could have got him another 11-year-old or 12-year-old. Now again, in these days and times, that may sound crazy, but that's just what the we go with the scriptures, man. We're not ashamed of the scriptures, man. The scriptures cover everything. But you got some of these camps, they don't want nothing to do with that. They don't want anything to do with the grape doctrine. The Lord gave us laws, statutes, and commandments on what would happen if someone got graped, In certain situations, if the woman was betrothed and she cried out, that man would be put to death, and the woman would not be put to death. But if she was betrothed and she didn't cry out, both of them will be put to death. And then if she was, if she wasn't betrothed and basically the guy just took the box, he would have to pay the father, I think it's 50 shekels 50 shekels of silver, I think it was, and he couldn't divorce her. He couldn't get rid of her. He had to keep her for life. And it wasn't like an often thing that this happened. This wasn't like just every day somebody was just, this was, but when it did happen, if it did happen, those were the laws that the Lord had in place, man. But yeah, this guy right here, ain't no telling. He could have been, they didn't say, he could have been fondling with the other kids. But ain't no telling how long he was messing with this girl, man. He just so happened, she probably just, she got to that point where that flower kicked in. And that particular time, he went in and come on, bro. This nigga ain't even had sense enough to put on a damn condom, bro. Anyway, but that's Esau, man. Esau is living in squalor, deplorable conditions all over the U.S. You'd be surprised at this kind of shit that's going on, man. You'd be surprised. A lot of these, man, look, we need out of here. I'll just put it that way. So I'm going to end out there. Pray that the lesson was edifying. With that, Kwame Yasha Allah and a Baba Bar.